All right, so we're going to review episode 9 of The Last of Us and see if this show gets any better. I mean, the last episode that we watched, episode 8, wasn't as bad as most of the previous episodes, so that's good. I did get a lot of hate on this one too. I got a lot of trolls this time. Well, I got some trolls, you could say. People who hadn't watched my video, but then they thought they could make comments claiming that I hadn't seen the show, and it's like, I watched the show right here. I mean, I pulled up chronological clips of what was happening, images that showed what I thought of this particular things that were going on in the show. So I don't know what you're talking about. And I had one guy who he was nice about it, but he clearly hadn't watched my video. He's like, "Oh yeah, like this and that and the other thing." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, I covered that all in my video." I'm like, so just watch my video. One guy watched until I made the first point, and then he's like, "You're stupid. You're not making this video in good faith. You're not making this review in good faith." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I said it was a good episode at the end, so I don't know how that's not good faith." I mean, I laid out all my opinions of everything, and I still said, "Yeah, this wasn't a bad episode. It's not. It was fun." So there's all that stuff going on. I don't know what these people are hoping to accomplish. They're trying to, I don't know, deter me from making the videos. They think that I'm going to get all worked up, all riled up over them. "Oh, you left a mean comment. Oh." It's like, all right, you can go ahead and leave your mean comments if you want to. And it's not going to stop me from making reviews of a show that I think is bad and is definitely woke. But, almost everything in Hollywood these days is woke. So that's kind of a given. So this is why I don't do show reviews. So one of the main reasons is because everything is woke. It's like, okay, I have something to say about everything that is made now because it's all for the woke points. And I don't want any of that. So anyway, before we get started, please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. Make sure that you're still subscribed. You can find me on Rumble and on Twitter. Links are down in the description box below. Now let's dive into this episode. So it starts off with this woman here running through the woods and into a very large farmhouse. She's clearly in labor. And I still have to ask the question, like, who are these people? I know that shows do this, but it seems like this show can't find its footing. What is this show about? Is it about surviving a zombie apocalypse? Is it about surviving a post-apocalypse? Is it about Ellie and Joel? I thought that's what this thing was going to be, sort of geared towards. And it appears to be about adventures they get into while trying to get to the medical facility that they're trying to get to. And these adventures really have nothing to do with the overall plot of them getting... They skipped 3 months. They skipped 3 months of the journey. So, this is not a big deal. I'm not like, oh my God, this show is so terrible because of this. But this is something that I'm pointing out because it is important to story making, to filmmaking. I'm not sure what's going on here with this. They did this in the last episode. So, they kind of did it in the previous episode too with the Native American couple. But not nearly as badly as they'd done it in the last 2 episodes. So I'm thinking that they're tying this into the greater story by making this baby here, Ellie. She called her Ellie. I'm not sure if that's what they're doing, but that could be what's going on here. So we do actually have a powerful moment here in the first 10 minutes of the show where the this mother here, she had just given birth. She got bit just as she was giving birth, and she's gonna turn into a zombie, so she has to give up her baby, and that was a pretty powerful moment for this show. Normally there are some here and there, but that was a good one. And the baby is Ellie, switchblade and all. So we got a strong, independent woman who don't need no man doing the man's work while the man does the woman's work. In this particular scene here, the man is holding the baby, and Marlene is going to go kill Ellie's mom. My grandmother, I watched her kill animals. But you know who did most of the killing? Her son and her husband. So Marlene was already holding the baby. It would have been more rational and more expedient just to say she's infected, take care of it, and then headed for the stairs. I don't understand why that. No, wait, I do understand why. Because, hey, the show has to be woke. You can't have it be woke unless you're making these roles that don't fit the gender of the character. So Ellie goes running around like a maniac in this abandoned skyscraper or something. Seems kind of, out of place considering there could be a clicker in there. And, she would be by herself because she ran off away from Joel. So they find a very tame giraffe. This is, again, something that is not realistic. It's not a big deal. I mean, I don't think this ruins the show or anything. But giraffes are not just prone to liking people. Just because you can feed giraffes at zoos, I know, I've seen it happen. A wild giraffe is not going to want to have anything to do with a human. Bad, cringy dialogue. This whole part of the show when they're standing on this balcony overlooking the giraffes is just really bad exposition. We don't need this information. So they take a break, and Joel recounts the night when he lost his daughter. Information, again, the audience doesn't need, but this does serve to kind of make them seem like friends, more human, etc., instead of just robots going through the motions. So this was good in that sense, but it did kind of feel out of place in the overall show. So Joel and Ellie get picked up by the Fireflies, and talking to Marlene or whatever her name is. Like I said, I haven't played the game, so these people are not familiar to me. But she's like, "How'd you make it all the way across the country? I almost died even though I had 5 men guarding me." It's like, well, because he's a real man, and obviously your terrorist organization is not. So they are going to operate on Ellie because obviously they think that she has the cure inside of her. That's what this whole thing is about. But this could be an interesting twist in the story overall. The show overall is like a rebuilding civilization after they figure out how to overcome what is causing the collapse. That could be something, maybe. So in this particular episode, we find out what the twist is here. At this point, the Fireflies are going to end Ellie, surgically remove her brain, so they can find a cure for the disease. So yeah, I mean, we know what's going to happen is Joel's going to have to try and rescue her because we don't want to see Ellie die. I don't feel an emotional connection to Ellie, really. They haven't made that resonate with me. They haven't made her seem like a sympathetic character. So, okay, I don't want to see her die, but at the same time, it's not like it's a big loss. So Joel was initially to be led to the highway and then let go. They didn't bind his hands. It seems like that would be something you would do just as a matter of protocol. I mean, they might not have handcuffs, but they could tie them with something, couldn't they? I don't know. But of course, he escapes and then starts to dismantle the Fireflies with extreme prejudice. And for a paramilitary freedom-fighting organization, these guys are really pathetic. So there was a pretty poignant scene in the point where Joel finds Ellie. They're about ready to operate on her. The doctor who's going to conduct the operation says, "I won't let you take her," even though Joel's holding a gun. So what do you think Joel does? It's really like, you can't argue with the guy who has a gun. That's especially if you're not a soldier yourself. You're not some sort of fighter, warrior, whatever. You're a doctor. You're a healer. Do you have the skills it's going to take on a guy and harm him? Do you have those skills? No. So they do this thing where they give Joel a choice. And they're like, what would Ellie want? Would she want to sacrifice herself to save the world? I think she would. And we're left hanging, and they cut to this scene where Joel is driving and we don't see Ellie. And I think they're doing this to lead the audience to believe, what happened? What choice did he make? We know that he chose to take Ellie with him. So there's no really a point in doing this. Because if he didn't take Ellie with him, the show would be over because she was gonna have her brain harvested for the use of for a cure. So Joel lies to Ellie, saying that the doctors have been looking for a cure and they've tested other people, but they can't find one. So there's other people who are immune and they've tested them. This means the show can go on indefinitely. All right, so we can keep having the adventures of Joel and Ellie. So I do want to point out that Joel did end Marlene. I think that's her name. He used his pistol on her twice. So she was well and truly done. Even though, it was kind of really silly why a person would behave this way. When he ended her, she had the drop on him. She had her Glock. I think that's a Glock there on the ground. You can see in the image. Pointed at him at his back. And so, I mean, what kept her from firing? I think that she probably would have, considering he just walked through her entire group of Fireflies single-handedly with taking barely a scratch. So, yeah, I mean, that seems like he was also the only thing standing between Ellie and her goal of finding a cure. There's lots of reasons. I mean, there's at least 2 reasons there for her to use her weapon on Joel, but she didn't. Seems kind of far-fetched. So it ends with them making it back to Wyoming and Ellie telling Joel he has to swear that everything he said about the Fireflies is true, all the lies that he said. So she suspects that he's lying, he's not being honest. But even though he covered all his tracks and the lie was pretty good, aside from the one gaping hole that, as far as we know, Ellie is the first and only person who's immune. And I think that would have been known to Ellie in the story. Anyway, this was a good episode. This was like possibly the best episode. It's hard for me to remember back to the first two and what was going on there. I think this is going to be the best episode so far. It was a shorter episode too. It was only 42 minutes, 41 minutes probably with the intro. So yeah, this is what the show should have been like. Instead, we have to get like, look, Ellie, a 14-year-old girl, is a total badass. All right, awesome, yeah. Let's keep going. We get, look at all the strong, empowered women who don't need no man. They lead everything. All of the women are leaders. Yay. It's like, okay, come on, guys. This is not the way it would really go. And I had one of the trolls call me out, bull crap. You just want this stuff. Okay, come on. Reality is, women are the bottleneck. We need to have women having babies if we're going to have the species survive. That's just the truth of it. Sure, women would be taking on jobs and maybe leadership roles in some capacity, but it wouldn't be everywhere you went. You would see just like, oh, look, a strong female leader. Mm-hmm. Oh, look, when women aren't in charge, the men are all evil. Okay, really? You really think I'm not going to notice that and call it out? Anyway, so we'll finish out this season. It's going to be the next episode is the last one. And then don't plan on watching the second season whenever that comes out. But stick with me. We got one more to do, and we'll move on to going back to calling out the other more contemporary woke stuff that's happening on a daily basis in our country.